Greetings and salutations, dreamers in dreamland. Welcome to the latest edition of Listen to Me. Listen to Me, Volume 13. And let me tell you, we had quite an eventful weekend. We had fights Friday, Saturday. I want to go over the fight on Saturday for the IBF Super Middleweight Championship of the World, the 168-pound IBF title. Caleb Plant successfully defended his title. Successfully, he won the fight against Caleb Truax. Now, Caleb Truax, in his own right, was a former IBF 168-pound champion, a former IBF super middleweight champion. Back in 2017, he went over there to the United Kingdom. He went over there to the United Kingdom, and he beat James DeGale. He beat James DeGale and took the IBF title from him. Now, truth be told, James DeGale was supposed to win that fight. James DeGale supposedly didn't prepare himself properly, and it showed in this performance. And Caleb Truax went on the road, went on foreign soil to James DeGale's backyard, and beat his ass and took the IBF title, took the IBF super middleweight title. He beat James DeGale so bad that the UK judges, no matter how bad they wanted to give it to James DeGale, they couldn't. They just couldn't do it. And Caleb Truax took that title. But in the immediate rematch, James DeGale came into the ring prepared, and he beat Caleb Truax pretty convincingly. And Caleb Truax, let's face it, he's 37, 38 years old. He's on the other side of 35. He's pretty much a shot fighter. And for Caleb Plant to last 12 rounds, to go the full 12 rounds with Caleb Truax, for Caleb Truax to last the full 12 rounds with Caleb Plant, I mean, that was an unimpressive performance by Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant, who, supposedly turned down a Canelo fight twice, walked away from an offer to fight Canelo twice. And Caleb Plant is supposed to be, in his own mind, and, and the people over there for the PBC, they've been pitching this narrative that Caleb Plant is the real champion at 168. Well, nothing in his performance against Caleb Truax this past Saturday night told me anything, or told any boxing fan anything, to the magnitude that Caleb Plant would stand a chance to beat Canelo Alvarez. I saw nothing. I saw nothing to make me believe that Caleb Plant would knock out Canelo Alvarez. Because let's get real. Canelo Alvarez is never going to lose another decision on the cards for as long as he boxes. Period. And let me tell you, that's not just my opinion. That's not just the opinion of many boxing fans. I asked Tim Bradley not too long ago on my friend's show, The Relay. He had Tim Bradley on. I went on and I asked him. I shot him the question before the Callum Smith fight. I said, is there any possible way that Callum Smith can beat Canelo on the cards? If he outpunched Canelo every round, landed more power shots and more volume every round. And Tim Bradley told me no. It would be impossible for Callum Smith to beat Canelo Alvarez, even if it was a landslide. It would be impossible. So this is a professional. Tim Bradley, a world champion, a veteran of boxing, going to be in the Hall of Fame. Yes, Tim Bradley will be in the Hall of Fame one day. And he will tell you, he's a boxing pundit now. He's a media guy for ESPN. He will tell you himself that Canelo Alvarez ain't losing on the cards. It ain't going to happen. Canelo's not going to lose on the cards. Caleb Plant showed me nothing. Nothing to convince me that he would stop, knock out, and get a win against Canelo. He showed me nothing. Nothing. I don't think he would beat Billy Joe Saunders based upon that performance that he put on against Caleb Truax. Now, styles do make fights. It's a different fighter. It's a different style. So, there is that. I do understand that. However, from Caleb Plant's performance against Caleb Truax, I saw absolutely nothing to convince me that Caleb Plant would stand a snowball's chance in hell against Canelo Alvarez. And I stick to that until they fight. You don't like it? I don't really care. Moving on. I want to talk about another fight that happened this weekend, and I want to segue that right into sanctioning bodies. I already went over the Trevor Bryan, Bermane Stavern debacle on Friday night, where, Bermane Stavern was on the cusp of becoming, a a champion of some sort in the WBA and a quote unquote possible mandatory for Anthony Joshua, the WBA super champion at heavyweight. But Trevor Bryan won that fight, and he's the WBA regular champion. But I want to talk about something right now. I want to talk about sanctioning bodies, okay? Because there is no way that Trevor Bryan is as good a fighter as he is. He's a pretty good boxer, no doubt. He's a good heavyweight. He's a good boxer. He's not a top 10 heavyweight. I'm sorry, he's not. And he's holding the WBA regular title, which basically is an avenue where he can press, the issue and, go for a WBA Super World Heavyweight title shot. The current WBA Super, heavyweight title, the Super Heavyweight champion is Anthony Joshua. And he is probably the best heavyweight in the world. It's either him or Tyson Fury. And they're going to fight for all the marbles, and that's coming up, and I'm excited. But I want to touch upon these sanctioning bodies, all right? I'm going to go over the top 10 heavyweights from the WBA right now, as per their website today that I just read, and I'm going to go over the top 10 heavyweights for the IBO. Now, the four major sanctioning bodies are the WBA, the WBC. They're the two oldest. The WBA comes from the New York State Athletic Commission's original championship committee, and I believe the WBC comes from the National Boxing Association, or National Boxing Writers Association, or something like that. But during the 20th century, the two sanctioning bodies, they kind of, the New York State Athletic Commission, the National Boxing or Boxing Writers Association, then they became the WBA and the WBC. Then the IBF came along, okay? So we've got the WBA, the WBC, then the IBF came along in the 80s. Then the WBO came along. In the mid to late 80s and the 90s is when they really started to become a real major sanctioning body, and it was somewhere around 2002, 2003, in that area where it was unquestionable the WBO was the fourth, and they were the major sanctioning body, and it wasn't a question of what weight class, but it was somewhere around 2003. The IBO right now is kind of mirroring what the WBO did in the 80s and in the 90s, and the IBO is pressing to really be the fifth major sanctioning body. That's what the IBO is going for right now. But I can tell you, in my opinion and from my experience, the IBO's rank standings at just about every weight class are more accurate. They're as accurate, if not more accurate, than the other four major sanctioning bodies. Now, I'll tell you, the IBO's ranking, the IBO's ranks at heavyweight are definitely, in my opinion, more accurate than the WBA's. And the IBO's rankings at most weight classes are better than the WBA's. But let's just begin. Let's just begin with the heavyweight division, okay? The top 10 IBO at heavyweight, okay? You have the IBO champion of the world, who's Anthony Joshua. I've said this in the past. More often than not, when you have an IBO champion coupled with another sanctioning body's title, like an IBO champion coupled with a WBC champion, they're usually the authority at that weight. I mean, look at the ladies right now at 130 pounds. Terry Harper is the WBC champion at 130 pounds. She was first the IBO champion at 130 pounds. Now she holds both titles, the IBO and the WBC. And at 130 pounds, Terry Harper is the authority. At heavyweight, Anthony Joshua. For the longest time, Deontay Wilder was the WBC champion, and Anthony Joshua had all the other belts, including the IBO title. And me and most of the boxing pundits and fans alike would tell you that the authority at the weight was Anthony Joshua. That was a fact. So a lot of the times when the IBO title is coupled with that of another sanctioning body's title, that guy is usually the authority at the weight. So I'll continue. The IBO's top 10 at heavyweight. The IBO World Heavyweight Champion is Anthony Joshua. The number one contender is Alexander Povetkin. Number 2 is Alexander Usyk. Number 3 is Andy Ruiz Jr. Number 4 is Deontay Wilder. Number 5 is Joseph Joyce. Number 6, Michael Hunter. Number 7, Dillian White. Number 8, Luis Ortiz. Number 9, Derek Chisora. And number 10, Kubrat Pulev. those are fairly accurate standings for top 10 heavyweights. You could change the order a little bit, but those 10 guys are 10 guys that you'll find on continental box rankings, the Ring box rankings. You'll find those guys on the top 10s of, many, top 10 lists. Now, the WBA, I can't say the same things for the WBA's top 10, boxers right now. I mean, it's really the worst of all the sanctioning bodies, in my opinion. Number one, okay, the WBA Super Champion, the WBA champion, the real WBA World Heavyweight Champion, the one that can be unified with that of another sanctioning body, is Anthony Joshua again. But their regular champion, who also occupies their number one ranking, and their interim champion, is Trevor Bryan. So Trevor Bryan is ranked number one. He's their regular champion, and he's their interim champion, according to their website. And let me tell you, you can look on any other list, and you will not find the name of Trevor Bryan on any other top 10 heavyweight list in the world for boxing. It's not there, okay? Number two, Alexander Usyk. Okay. Number three is another guy you will not find on any other consensus top 10 list anywhere. Bogan Dinu. Bogan Dinu is an awesome guy. He's a cool guy. He fought Jarrell Miller, and he fought Kubrat Pulev. And, he put up a fight against both of those guys. And I actually thought against Miller he put up a hell of a fight. And maybe Miller was on something, and maybe that's why he got the victory, but not sure. But Bogan Dino's a guy I like. He's a SWAT team member in his country, over there in Europe. He's an honorable guy, and he's a tough guy, and he's someone who serves his community and is there for the greater good as a member of the SWAT team. And he's a fighter, but he's a part-time boxer. He's not a top 10 heavyweight. And he's number three on the WBA heavyweight contenders list, okay? Number 4 on their list is Deontay Wilder. Now, listen, I don't really like Deontay Wilder. I think, he was pathetic in all of his excuses that he made after the Tyson Fury fights. And I used to like the guy. I used to be really excited to watch him fight because he had some exciting knockouts, and I liked what he was doing for his daughter. He was fighting to make money to help his daughter and her ailment and her sickness, and I respected that. But I can tell you, no matter whether I like him or not, Deontay Wilder's better than Bogan Dinu. If Bogan Dinu got in the ring with Deontay Wilder, it's probably going to last about 65 to 75 seconds, if that. Okay? Yet they have Bogan Dinu ranked 3rd, and they have Deontay Wilder ranked 4th. Deontay Wilder, who was a former world heavyweight champion. Deontay Wilder has 1 loss on his resume. Bogan Dinu has more than that. He has 2, at least, that I can think of off the top of my head. And I don't know everything about Bogan Dinu's resume. I'm not going to tell you that I do. Maybe he has more losses than that. But Wilder only has 1 loss. And his knockout percentage is astronomical. And his resume is head and shoulders better than Bogan Dinu's, yet he's ranked 4th. Makes no sense. Ranked number 5 on the WBA is Luis Ortiz. Okay, he's a consensus top 10 guy. Ranked number 6, Andy Ruiz Jr. Okay, fair enough. Ranked number 7, Adam Kownacki. Okay, Adam Kownacki, who just lost to Robert Helenius. Now, Robert Helenius is not ranked on the WBA top 10, but he holds the WBA gold title. That's what he beat Adam Kownacki to attain when he beat him last year. Last year. But Adam Kownacki, he's number 7. I don't really find him to be a top 10 guy, and I don't find him on every list either, especially not the Ring's top 10 rankings at heavyweight. Okay, another guy they have in their top 10, who is a guy I actually like, Prince Charles Martin. He's ranked number 8, but I don't think Prince Charles Martin is really a top 10 heavyweight, if we're really being honest with ourselves. I don't think so. Number 9 is another guy who is not a consensus top 10 heavyweight, Chris Arreola. Chris Arreola is Look, Chris Arreola, I respect the guy. He's a tough guy. He's a tough guy, and he's been in the ring with some world-class fighters. Chris Arreola is a shot fighter, man. He's a shot fighter. He is. He's a shot fighter. And, he doesn't belong in the top 10. He doesn't. There's no way you can sell me right now in 2021 that Chris Arreola belongs in the top 10 in heavyweights. He doesn't. And number 10 is another guy who really doesn't belong in the top 10 of heavyweights, yet he is the final member of the top 10 for the WBA, and that's Ajit Kabayel. Ajit Kabayel is a pretty good heavyweight fighter. I don't believe he's ever lost. And I believe he has a victory over Derek Chisora. That might be his best win on his resume, but Ajit Kabayel, he's not exactly, proven at heavyweight, and I can tell you that there's definitely 10, maybe 20 guys at heavyweight that you can put ahead of Ajit Kabayel. So, you tell me what rankings you think are more accurate. You tell me the IBO's top 10 at heavyweight or the WBA's. Just food for thought. Just food for thought. Now listen, I know a lot of people don't want any more sanctioning bodies, but I want more accurate sanctioning bodies. And when I was a kid, the WBO wasn't really considered a major sanctioning body, but I always respected the WBO's top 10 rankings at every weight because they were more accurate than the WBC's. They were more accurate than the WBA's. And, the IBF, they can be accurate, but in the past, they've been questionable as well. I believe they've had dead fighters ranked before. I couldn't tell you exactly who, but guys that were deceased were still ranked somehow. So, all in all, in my opinion, the IBO is greater than the WBA in their rankings. Is the prestige of the championship better currently? A lot of people will tell you no. But I'll tell you, I don't see any difference in the alphabets. All the alphabets, to me, they seem to be the same. And if you're basing it upon whose rankings are the most accurate, I'll take the IBO over the WBA or the WBC any day of the week. So, Dreamers in Dreamland, until we meet again, it's been your pleasure and not mine. I love each and every one of you, not nearly equal. Until we meet again. Peace.